Hi everyone, I'm Amy Barrett-Daffin from C&T Publishing, and I'm thrilled to talk to you about The Art of Landscape Quilting by Nancy Zieman and Natalie Sewell. If you've ever been inspired by the beauty of nature and wanted to capture it in fabric, you're in the right place. At C&T, we're all about sparking creativity, and this book, it's a spark, a flame, and a whole bonfire of inspiration. Imagine creating stunning landscape quilts that tell your own stories right from your sewing room. This book makes that dream a reality. And this isn't just another quilting book. The Art of Landscape Quilting is a personal journey with Nancy Zieman and Natalie Sewell, and we are honored to keep their memory alive by bringing this book back in print. They share their passion and techniques, making landscape quilting accessible to everyone. The authors share their expertise and personal experiences, offering a variety of techniques including messy cutting, fussy cutting, gluing, painting on fabric, and drawing on fabric. Learn how to draw inspiration from photos and select fabrics that bring your landscapes to life. They have step-by-step instruction, which takes you from beginner to advanced, with a wide range of landscape styles, simple and complex scenes, water settings, and stylized quilts. So chapter 1 is fantastic for beginners. It covers using photos for inspiration, simple techniques like messy cutting, which is surprisingly effective. So I love the section on creating water scenes because the book shows you how to use fabric and paint to achieve realistic reflections and movement. So this book is perfect for anyone who loves quilting and wants to try something new, is inspired by nature and wants to capture it in fabric, wants to learn new techniques and expand their skills, or someone who enjoys the personal stories and insights of experienced quilters. Whether you're a traditional quilter looking to branch out, or an art quilter seeking new inspiration, this book has something for you. So now this is the part I'm excited about. Let me show you how I started my very first landscape quilt. What I did was I read through the book and then I decided I'm going to jump in because I'm that kind of a person and I'm going to make my first landscape quilt. So here you go. So I started off with some photos. Now this is a photo that I've had for probably more than 15 years. I always loved it. I wanted to make a quilt someday, but I had no idea what I was doing. And going through Nancy and Natalie's book was like this aha moment that just sparked my creativity. So I had this photo, and then I loved these irises. And I was really looking at these irises, and I had this detailed picture and then one that was a little further away. So I took these pictures and then I started on my project. And so like I said, I've never done a landscape quilt in my life. I have never done anything like this. I have been a photographer for years. So I started off with a bunch of fabrics, and this background fabric I thought was perfect because it's got the light and the dark of these branches. And this isn't done. I'm just showing you where I'm at so far because I wanted to get far enough along that you could really get a sense of what I was doing. So you can see here, so I messy cut this so that I could have the water be like a reflection here. And then this is the top of the bridge. Now I'm going to take, and they tell you about this in the book, they use, because you're never going to put this in the washing machine, but you want to use stuff that will stay. So they talk about using chalk, oil pastels, which I'm probably going to use here to create this dimension in the bridge. I was going to try to cut it out, and then I thought, don't do that. That would be too hard, but I can color on it. So I've got the oil pastels, and then my personal favorite, fabric ink pens. And what I like about this is that not only do I have all these colored pens, but I also have 2 white ones that are different thicknesses and a silver, which I think is really going to help me when I'm making the reflections in the water. And then the other thing that they talk about using in the book is acrylic paint. And I have a bunch of this Liquitex paint. And so I've got that, and then I've got some Liquitex ink. So those are what I'm going to use to create sort of the finishing touches as on my project. So what tools do I need? Well, first I need fabric. And I pulled all of this from my stash. And yes, I've been collecting this tree fabric forever. And then, of course, I wanted a lighter one as a reflection. And yeah, it's going the other way. I don't care. It'll be great. The rocks were the hardest part for me, but I ended up using some batiks and then this fabric. So I have my tree fabric, and then I came up with my rocks. And then, this is my rock fabric. And then I pulled this out because I thought I would use it, ended up not using it. And I really wanted the irises to be quite pretty. And what I ended up using for the irises was some MJ Kinman fabric. I have a little scrap left that had this variety, and I literally took these strips to make my little petals, and I folded it into quarters like that. And then I took my scissors. I'm gonna make a mess on my project. I'm gonna put a piece of fabric underneath before I make a mess on my project. And I went like this. So this was the wide part and this was the narrow part. And I just went like this, and I just sort of eyeballed how to cut it. And then it looked like a funny, like someone sticking out their tongue to me. And so that was the shape that I went for. And I don't like that little part there. And that is how I made my little flower petals. And I'm gonna put one more flower on over the reflection once it's done. But it's that easy. I mean, literally, it's that easy. So let me show you. I'm going to take my little petals and put them back over here because I had to transport this to our studio. So like I picked out all this fabric for the flowers, and then I ended up using one piece, and I was really happy with it because it had this gradation of color. It went from like a lighter magenta to a nice darker violet. So once you have your pieces, what you want to do is glue them down, and they recommend just paper glue. Do be cautious if you're going to use a fabric glue. Don't use a fabric glue that is a color, because if you're using light colored fabric, that glue may show through. And I think this glue tends to adhere better. And keeping in mind, once this is all done, I have to take it to my sewing table and quilt it down. I really want to make sure that glue stays. I don't want anything falling off mid-journey. So then I'm going to take my glue stick, give myself a little bit of room here. And then I'm going to take these little trees, because I've got trees up here, and I'm going to glue these down. I'm using a piece of paper, and I'm just running the glue over it like that. And then I'm going to put my little branch in the water, right? I want to go up a little bit so that it's covered by that. So I'm going to go right there, like that. And that literally is all you have to do. And then eventually I'll glue this piece on top. And what you can see is, so once you start creating it and you're gluing things down, you're starting to tell your story. And then like here, if I want the rock to show in the reflection, what I'll probably end up doing is either gluing down a lighter piece of fabric, or taking maybe a little of this white pen and a little bit of this silver pen and just starting to draw on there. And that's where the detail gets really fun. And just as an example, let me find a little bit of yellow here. Like in here, a lot of these flowers just have a little smidge of yellow. And so you could start with that and just use a little bit of yellow, and it just adds that little pop of color that makes it look more realistic. So like I said, this is my first stab at it. When it's all done, I will take a photo and we will post it. But I just wanted to say how reading that book really inspired me. It's really fun, and I think everyone should try a landscape quilt. So ready to start your own landscape quilting journey? You can find the Art of Landscape Quilting on our website at ctpub.com. We also have lots of other amazing resources for quilters. Don't forget to follow us on social media for more inspiration and updates. And we love to see what you're creating, so share your projects with us. Thank you so much for watching. Happy quilting.